Hey, Mike here with Canadian Musician Magazine. Right now we're at the Ontario JUNO Nominees reception downtown Toronto. JUNO Week starting in just a few days, and this wonderful reception is hosted by the Ontario Media Development Corporation, of which part of is the Ontario Music Office, which of course oversees the Ontario Music Fund. There's a lot of Ontario going on. Yep. But it's my pleasure to have with me Marina Adam, manager of the Ontario Music Office. Marina, how are you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
Thank you. So I believe, correct me if I'm wrong here, I believe it's been about 3 years since the Ontario Music Fund was implemented?
Yep, since 2013. It was October 2013 that we launched the program. But interestingly enough, we're now launching year 5. It was a really compressed beginning, but okay. Yeah.
I guess to rewind a bit, just to explain to people who may have heard of the Ontario Music Fund but don't know the full scope of it or what its objectives are, would you be able to kind of just give the Coles Notes version of what the Ontario Music Fund is and what it's designed to do exactly?
Absolutely. So the Ontario Music Fund, it's an economic development fund for the music industry in Ontario. So the fund supports a really broad diversity of music companies and organizations all across the Ontario music industry ecosystem. So we have 4 different programs within the broad program. So we have music company development, which is probably the biggest program, which supports record labels, music managers, music publishers, and artist entrepreneurs, and that's kind of at a $100,000 revenue threshold and up. Then we have live music program, which supports music promoters and presenters. Then we have the music industry development program, which supports organizations like CARIS or Canadian Independent Music Association, that type of thing. So supporting the infrastructure of the music industry. And then we also have one of the most interesting categories is the Music Futures program, which is kind of music company development and live music at the more emerging level. So you can have lower revenues to get in, and it's about high potential diversity in terms of Francophone and Indigenous, and just supporting underrepresented communities, but all across music companies and live music companies.
I find one of the things that when I'm talking to artists or people maybe outside the industry, when they know that there's a lot of government funding for the arts and for music in particular, I find one of the things that often needs clarification is essentially it's not charity money. It's an economic driver, and it's there to maybe take something that's smaller and make it bigger for the economic benefit of the province and the country. Like I said, it's a grant, not charity. It's an economic driver. I guess could you just expand on that and explain to people I guess how the money is used and what the argument is for using government funds for the arts as an economic driver?
Sure. Well, I think one of the most important things to remember about the program is that it isn't just a straight up grant, because companies actually have to contribute funding, and we basically match it. So at varying levels, we match the funding that the companies and the organizations have to contribute. So they have to have skin in the game as well. So it's really an investment in growing these companies and organizations to be able to support the whole industry. So we support everything from recordings to marketing. So the fund was really designed to move the needle and raise the bar. So we had a lot of strong companies to begin with. It's getting them out into market, making them more competitive, getting their artists out into international markets, raising the profile of their artists and their companies. And then, when we support the organizations can help also with that kind of thing, with missions to different festivals and conferences all over the world and in Canada. So it's really supporting companies and organizations at every level of business almost, yeah.
I guess now that you're going into, like you said, launched in 2012, but you're going into technically year 5 of the funding cycle, is there any indication yet as far as how it's working? What kind of I guess what kind of proof can you put out there for people that it is having the effect you're hoping it would have?
Well, every year we support over 100 companies to expand their business interests, and we've collected results from the first 2 years of the program because there's a bit of a lag. We're very very conscientious about reporting, getting reports from our clients on how they're doing. So it's a pretty rigorous process actually. So the Ontario Music Fund did help create and retain 1,274 jobs over the first 2 years of the program. I think there was 1.6 million in attendance at live music festivals across the province. It's just been like an incredible motivator, I think, for companies. It's really upped the game, and we also we also reported that that we had 4 million domestic sales for companies. That's what they reported, and 5 million international. So it's really, it's really made an impact, I think.
I guess on a more macro level, it seems really over the last, I'd say 5 years or so, that the music industry in Canada has really turned its eye to making that argument that music is more than just, and the arts, I should say, in general. It's not just an altruistic thing, it's not just a creative thing, it's an economic thing. You see this through, as for example, the CCMA just recently announced, made a point of announcing that it created, I think it was $8.4 million in economic impact in London, Ontario last year. This argument has led not just in Ontario to the Ontario Music Fund, but there's a BC Music Fund as well. Music Canada has really been leading this whole Music Cities initiative. All this just to say that the music industry is really trying to turn a lot of eyes to the economic impact of both recorded and live music industries. What outside of our own kind of music industry bubble, within the other branches of government, are you seeing this argument kind of getting through and having kind of shift in the conversation?
I think the music industry and the arts in general are being taken a lot more seriously as economic drivers. I mean, it can sometimes be a hard argument to make because it looks like it's just fun, and a lot of it is. But yes, we've definitely been at the OMDC in particular, because we are an economic development agency for all of our creative industries, really wanting to get the message out there that it is more than parties and movie screenings and that and concerts, but that the concerts and the movie screenings are the economic drivers is the message that we want to get across, and I think that is resonating. I mean, the Ontario government has been incredibly supportive in terms of funding for arts and culture, so I think that's kind of the proof that it's being taken seriously.
Marina, thank you first of all for taking a few minutes to kind of have this serious conversation in the middle of the what's supposed to be a more fun event than talking economics. But it's an
important conversation.
Exactly, it's an important conversation, and just thank you for the work you're doing, and it's a pleasure to meet.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.